America, we got to get back to doing what's expected of us as free citizens in this democracy. That means being tolerant, being respectful, staying informed, and being engaged. I'm former Congressman Joe Walsh. Follow me here and join the millions of Americans who are renewing their social contract with each other. The social contract, it's on us. Hey, former Congressman Joe Walsh here. I'm so excited about this upcoming weekend, June 14th in particular, No King's Day, protests and rallies throughout the country, some 1,400 or more, I've been told. And the group behind this, and I will go out of my way as a brand new Democrat to say, I think the energy and the sort of the animation behind the Democratic Party is this group, Indivisible. And I've got one of the co-founders of Indivisible on with me right now, Ezra Levin. Ezra, thank you, my friend, for taking a few minutes out of your week, sir.
Joe, hey, great to be here. I'm happy to talk to anybody who's fighting for our democracy, and welcome to the Democratic Party. It's great to have you out here fighting for these ideals that we share. I think it's really important that we welcome new people in. We should not be asking people, where the hell have you been? Why weren't you with us from the beginning? Yeah. We got to roll out the red carpet for newbies. So I'm thrilled to be here.
I completely agree. And I became a Democrat last week. It's about democracy and the rule of law, preserving this thing that we all love and cherish. But Ezra, also over the years, this crazy Tea Party guy has listened to people, and I've evolved on a number of issues. Everybody listening, the website is indivisible.org, indivisible.org. You need to have that and check out that website every single day. Ezra, let's start with, and then I want to work back, June 14th, this upcoming Saturday. What is going on? What is it?
Well, June 14th is a Saturday. June 14th is Flag Day. June 14th is the 250th anniversary of the forming of the Continental Army to take on a mad king. And June 14th is also Donald Trump's 79th birthday. And he is planning to do something that he's wanted to do for a long time, which is waste $50 to $100 million of your money, my money, taxpayer money, to throw himself a big military parade rolling tanks through the streets of D.C. And look, we heard he was doing that. We heard he was wanting to do it. We heard he was planning it. And we said, we are not going to let this would-be authoritarian own the narrative of that day. We are not going to let him present himself as some strong man where all power resides in this country. He can have his pathetic little parade in D.C. Fine. In downtown D.C. Fine. We are going to organize literally everywhere else. You mentioned 1,400 events. Here's the update. We're over 1,800 events.
Oh my gosh.
Nationwide. Blue states, red states, purple states, rural areas, suburban areas, urban areas. We're everywhere, Joe. And we're showing up peacefully. We're showing up boisterously. It's going to be a lot of fun. People are going to bring their dogs and their kids and their flags, and they're going to show up and show what American political power actually looks like. It doesn't look like some baby with a military parade in D.C. Yeah. It's with the people, and that's where we're going to be.
Just the one logistic question for people who want to know what and where in their area on Saturday the 14th, where would they go?
Go to nokings.org. You will see a map. It'll say join. You'll see a map. If you search for your own hometown, and you're like, hey, there's not a No King's Day protest here. There's not one within an hour of me. Good news. You get to form a No King's Day protest because that's how they've all been formed. This isn't me leading these all around the country. This isn't some faceless organization out there that's putting this on. This is normal everyday people in Homer, Alaska, in Eureka, Montana, in Winnebago, Wisconsin, who are starting their No King's Day protest. Maybe they're with an Indivisible group. Maybe they're doing it with their friends and their family. But go to nokings.org, be part of this, and share it with your friends and family members. This is organic. It's grassroots. It's bottom up. That's how you push back against authoritarianism. Don't wait for somebody else to come and tell you, hey, it's time to lead. This is the message. This is the message. Get in it now.
Amen. Nokings.org, nokings.org. That's where everyone should go. And we all, I mean, my God, if we can't all embrace that basic American principle that we don't have kings here, then forget about us.
Indeed.
Ezra, for the folks who aren't familiar necessarily with Indivisible, give a quick summary how you all formed this group and why.
Look, Joe, we took some inspiration from your movement, the Tea Party movement early on. Now, look, I was a congressional staffer, and so don't hold that against me. I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
worked
that's
in
okay.
Congress, and I worked for a Democrat, a progressive from Austin. Lloyd Doggett, still in office,
Yeah,
great guy.
great guy.
And I was there during the rise of the Tea Party, and I
Yep.
disagree with your ideology. I disagree with some of the tactics, but gosh, y'all knew how to organize locally. You put pressure on elected officials. You told people to organize in their own communities.
Yeah.
I think it was smart. It was effective. Didn't win everything, but it stopped some of what we were trying to do. So when Donald Trump got elected in 2016, I was an anti-poverty advocate. My wife Leah was anti-human trafficking. We're doing do-gooder stuff, advocacy
Yeah.
world in DC. And two things happened. One, we had Trump's future appointees talking about the Japanese internment camps during World War II as a model for what to do with Muslims, immigrants, and refugees, this
Yeah.
horrific agenda he had planned. But two, we had Democratic leaders. I remember vividly Chuck Schumer giving an interview shortly after election talking about how, well, we lost the election. That happens. We're just going to have to work with them on something. Maybe we can work on infrastructure together. So there was this sense that rather than having an opposition party build up to push back against this horrific agenda, they were just going to roll over and play dead.
Yeah.
And we had seen the Tea Party so effectively organized. And we said, well, why? Organize locally, push back against the Trump agenda. It's not popular. It doesn't depend on politicians to do this. Normal, everyday people can do it. So we wrote a guide that took lessons explicitly from the Tea Party on their strategies and tactics and said, go organize, form your little indivisible group in your small town, wherever you are, and just start working, start organizing to push your elected officials, maybe to find their spines or to push your MAGA members to fracture. And it went viral, and now there are 2,200 local indivisible groups all around the country.
And Ezra, it's so cool. I love the way you said that. The mission, what you want these groups doing is what?
The mission is I want them showing up in defense of democracy. It is not, we are not an arm of the Democratic Party.
Right.
We will call out the Democrats if they're not fighting for us. We will call out Republicans if they're not showing up for us as well. The goal, I know this is a crazy goal, Joe. Maybe I'm naive. I think in a representative democracy, our representatives ought to represent us. Maybe that's stupid. Maybe that's not the system that we actually have. But this belief is rooted in an idea that democracy is built on people power. We lend that power to elected officials from time to time in the form of elections.
Yeah.
But it is lent to them. They don't own it. And politicians, no offense, they're weather vanes.
Yeah.
They get pushed by a lot of different forces. And the question is, are they just being pushed by the donors and the interest groups in the industry, or are they being pushed by their own damn constituents as well? If you're an individual in this country, unless you're super rich or super famous, you don't have very much power.
Yeah.
That's how the system works. But if you're organized and focused and putting pressure where you actually have leverage, that gives you power. It allows you to change what your elected officials currently in office think about and how they react to issues. And it allows you to change who those elected officials are. So it is this basic idea that in our democracy, we got to organize to actually wield our power. That's it. In a representative democracy, your representatives ought to represent you. If you are an individual, you have very little power. But if you are in a group, locally, geographically, meeting with your friends, your family, your colleagues, your fellow community members in libraries, in community centers, in public spaces, and organizing that power, that's how you actually change things. Nothing else works. That is what works to actually influence the direction of the republic. And in a moment like we're in right now, that's what works to push back against an authoritarian.
And my friend, the organization has grown impressively, hasn't it?
It's a little overwhelming, Joe, if I'm going to be honest. When we wrote the original Indivisible guide, it was a Google Doc. I mean, that's what it was. It was a guide to how do you organize locally. And we put at the very bottom of it, we're not forming an organization. We're not selling anything. Take this, use it. Hopefully it works for you.
Yeah.
And shockingly, it went viral, but even more shockingly, all of these groups started forming. We got emails from Tallahassee Indivisible and Austin Indivisible and Albany Indivisible and Homer, Alaska Indivisible. Like all of these groups started forming. There was a burst of energy in 2017.
Yeah.
The energy we're seeing now dwarfs that energy. I will say. So we had more indivisible groups form in November after the election than any year or since 2017, since the original burst. We then beat the November number of new local indivisible groups in December. We beat the December number in January. We beat the combined November, December, January number in February, beat the February number in March. These people are not professional politicians.
Yeah.
They are nurses, they're IT technicians, they're federal workers, they're lawyers, they're teachers. They're people who look around and see the Republicans are authoritarians, and maybe their Democratic leadership isn't taking the action they want them to take. And so they say, what do we do? And their answer is they start organizing locally. And so that's why we're seeing just, I think, a historic level of grassroots organizing happening in this moment right now.
Ezra, that's so fascinating. And not to get political, but I know a lot of my now Democratic colleagues who, since Trump won, you've heard the same, have been so disappointed in the Democratic Party's opposition to this mad tyrant in the White House and what happened to my former political party. And a lot of Democrats I know have turned to Indivisible and get involved in your group and other groups because they're so disappointed in what how the Democratic Party has not fought back. How do you address that?
I'm of two minds on this because, one, I like to complain about Democratic leadership as much as the next guy. It feels good. I like to point a finger and say, you're wrong. Your strategy's bad. You have the wrong values, whatever it might be. That feels good. But I will say something, Joe. We get the party we demand. We get the party we demand. The party is not some monolith. It's not something out there is doing something on its own. It responds to external incentives the same way as anything else in this world. So if you are upset that Democrats are rolling over and playing dead, if you're upset that they're voting for Trump's nominees, if you're upset that 16 Senate Democrats just voted for a crypto bill that helps Trump take bribes through crypto and does nothing that industry doesn't want them to do, if you don't like that, if you wanted to see fighters, demand fighters. Demand that they actually represent you. And the way you do that is organize sufficient power at the grassroots level. The thing most of all that has changed any amount of orientation of the Democratic Party over the last 6 months, the thing that changed them from saying the opposition is dead, resistance isn't coming, we just need to make deals, was mass organized people power at the February town halls, at the March empty chair town halls, at the April hands-off events where we had 3.5 million people all over the country come out. That's when they said, oh my gosh, people are angry. We've got to meet them somehow.
Love that.
If you want fighters, demand fighters and hold them accountable in primaries, in elections, when calling their offices. Don't just think, well, I've got a Democrat. It's probably fine. There is a debate playing out within the Democratic Party right now. One side says, and this is verbatim from James Carville in the New York Times, we should roll over and play dead. Trump will naturally become unpopular. Let's let him do it. It's fine. All will be fine in time. I disagree with that. We've got another side that are the Maxwell Frosts or the Jasmine Crockett's or the Chris Murphys or the AOCs or the Bernies. There are a lot of them. They're good leaders in the Democratic Party, and they're fighting back right now. Support those fighters. Ask for more of those fighters. But you've got to do it. We've got to do it. If we don't demand it, we're going to keep on being disappointed with the party. It might feel good to point fingers, but we're going to end up with seriously bad results for the country.
Ezra, I fucking love that. We get the party we demand. I so love that. That's awesome. I know this is an impossible question. What scares you most right now about what's going on in this country vis-a-vis what my former party and the president are doing? What most scares you?
So I think about this a lot. I do not think our enemy is MAGA or Trump or the congressional Republicans or the right-wing press, whatever it is. That's not the enemy. That's the opposition. Sometimes the Democrats are the opposition, and we have to organize against them. The real enemy in this moment of autocratic breakthrough is nihilism and fatalism and cynicism. This sense that we are just victims of world events, every one of us, and there's nothing we can do about it. Trump is in control and probably will always be in control. So what's the point? Why show up at a protest? Why call my member of Congress? Why engage in any of this? It's a waste of time. That mentality means we lose. Full stop. So the thing
That's
that I'm
great.
most scared about
Yeah.
are the actions of the president and the Republicans who are supporting him and the MAGA movement that dissuades people from sharing their own political opinions, dissuades people from actually showing up, and makes people think the game is already over or it's totally rigged, so you shouldn't show up. Because we've got to convince people, not that they just want to see their pictures in the paper raising their fist, not that they just want to have their own view of themselves on being on the right side of history, but that it's actually strategic and impactful to show up, that it matters. I don't just want the activist class showing up. I want normal everyday people showing up,
Yeah.
and normal everyday people aren't going to show up just for the hell of it. They'll
Right.
show up if we convince them that it actually is impactful. So that I think Trump is, frankly, smartly trying to dissuade people from showing up. I think it is a smart move by an authoritarian.
Yeah.
It's not something he invented, but it's a page right out of the authoritarian playbook.
Yeah.
What you try to do is convince people they are better off just not paying attention or engaging at all. And that is what I'm most scared of.
Last question, Ezra, and then I'll let you continue to go do God's work. You keep doing what you're doing, and Indivisible keeps growing, and Indivisible keeps having impact 5-6 years from now. What will it look like? What will your impact look like? A couple tangible things.
I think helpfully I fade into irrelevance, and this period of American history becomes that time where we flirted with authoritarianism, but obviously, as it was always destined to be the case, that people refused to accept it, and we had free and fair elections, and then we got into rich debates about education policy and tax policy and how we're structuring our tax. Whatever those normal political debates are, that becomes the norm of political life again. I just want to see us have a normal representative democracy that responds to the will of the people. And I have this abiding faith that if democracy responds to people, from that flows good things. We will have better policy. We will have more secure communities. We will have a happier and more flourishing population. But that's why we're engaged right now, because I don't think our system is responding to people now.
Right.
The only tool I know to use, the only tool I know to develop in response to that problem is organized, peaceful, broad-based, ideologically diverse, geographically dispersed people power.
Ezra Levin, perfectly put, my friend. Everybody listening, go to the website, support this group, be a part of this group, indivisible.org, indivisible.org. As importantly, get your butt out there somewhere this Saturday, the 14th. Go to nokings.org, nokings.org. Find a protest, a rally in your community, in your town. Ezra says there are 1,800 and growing all over the country. Ezra, now you know everybody why I'm such a fan of this guy. Ezra, thanks, my friend. Talk soon.
Great to talk, Joe.
Thank you for listening. Remember to listen, share, and follow The Social Contract with Joe Walsh on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere great podcasts are found. And be sure to leave a 5-star review. This has been The Social Contract with Joe Walsh.